Good evening. It's been the subject of many political and environmental debates in London the past few years. But today, the Silvertown Tunnel opened for business, with the Mayor Sadiq Khan hoping it will help tackle congestion and pollution in parts of South London. Now, it links Greenwich to Newham and comes at a cost of more than £2 billion. Drivers will foot the bill through new charges, and anyone hoping to dodge the cost by using the nearby Blackwall Tunnel, you'll have no luck there, as you'll face tolls on that tunnel too. The huge project has been more than a decade in the making and is London's first Thames Road tunnel in almost 60 years. Sadiq Khan will be pleased today's opening went to plan, although traffic was quieter than usual because of the Easter holidays, of course. But not everyone's as happy as the Mayor. Some are worried about the impact on the local area, and businesses are worried about the impact the toll price will have on them. Here's our political correspondent, Simon Harris.
The Silvertown Tunnel in East London is now open in both directions, but there is a toll charge for both the new tunnel and also the Blackwall Tunnel. And on the trains,
the radio traffic bulletins were the only fanfare for the first new Thames road crossing in more than 30 years. The Silvertown Tunnel was built to ease pressure on the often congested Blackwall Tunnel and make life easier for drivers in East London.
One of the most unreliable crossings in the country, the Blackwall Tunnel, closed on average 700 times a year. Every 5-minute closure leads to a 3-mile tailback. They can now get across much quicker, much more reliable. Great buses now, 21 buses an hour.
But drivers using both tunnels have to pay a toll, and that's putting a squeeze on businesses like this waste haulage firm in South East London. It estimates the annual cost of serving customers north of the river could run to more than £300,000.
We can't afford to absorb that cost. Of course you can't. The margins are getting smaller and smaller. The operating costs just seem to be going up. Customers are going to resist it because they're going to say to us, look, you guys are based in South East London. We'll have to use a company that's that side of the water.
Bexley Heath Academy is also feeling the impact of the new road charges.
I've got 2 staff members that are going to be resigning for next academic year, and that's because they do not want to be paying the additional charges to come to work, and I totally understand that.
At peak times, car and van drivers will pay £4 to use the tunnels. Lorries will be charged £10. The highest charges applied during the morning rush hour northbound and the evening rush hour southbound. But between 10 o'clock at night and 6 o'clock in the morning, both tunnels are free. Clean Air campaigners who tried to stop the new tunnel believe that's a mistake.
They say that they're going to keep traffic down with tolls, but the traffic is HGV traffic. All the traffic is free at night, and there are HGV lanes. So it's a depressing day in a climate and clean air crisis.
This was a soft launch at the start of the school holidays and in the early hours to avoid putting the new tunnel under too much pressure. The Mayor celebrated the opening with a bus ride. His opponents couldn't resist a dig.
I think it's a real surprise today. We've got this new crossing open, first a road crossing of the Thames for over 50 years. Should be, a ribbon cutting event. The Mayor should be here, excited about this. It did start under Boris. I don't know if that's why he's a bit embarrassed by it, but for me it's a great thing to have a new crossing.
The Mayor's decision to greenlight a new road tunnel put him at odds with environmentalists. They claim Londoners in 2 of the capital's poorest boroughs will be exposed to more pollution. He says the opposite is true, arguing the end of traffic jams at the Blackwall Tunnel is in keeping with his mission to clean up London's air. Simon Harris, ITV News, Silvertown.
Well, Simon Harris has joined us in at the studio. And Simon, it really is quite a feat of engineering, isn't it?
Yes, digging any tunnel under the Thames is a huge engineering challenge. And this one was finished on time and didn't go over budget. Now, in the recent history of infrastructure projects in London, that really is quite unusual. Of course, drivers are going to have to pay the cost, the £2.2 billion cost of building the tunnel and maintaining it until 2050. And as we've heard, that's controversial. Also, those free bus fares, whether it's on the bike bus or for ordinary bus users, they're only going to be free, guaranteed for the first 12 months. So after that, they could change.
All right, Simon, thanks very much.
Now, rowers in the UK's famous boat race are at risk of serious health problems because of the state of the water. That's according to River Action, who have tested the River Thames for E. coli and found that almost a third of samples exceeded safe limits. This weekend marks the 170th anniversary of the iconic race between Oxford and Cambridge. But rowers taking part have told us they're worried about a repeat of last year's illnesses. Our correspondent Simon Harris has more.
The crews were out on the water again today. With 4 days to go, there's no let-up in training. The Cambridge Women's Blue Boat includes an American Olympic rower.
This is my first boat race, so believe it or not, I've done a lot of international racing, but this is an incredible opportunity. I'm really, really excited.
But for the unlucky or unwary rower, there are hidden dangers. Tests by the environmental group River Action between the 10th of March and the 8th of April along the boat race course found almost 30% of samples were above the safe limit for swimming. The finish line had the worst results.
If you're rowing on the river, then you are at greater risk than if you're walking alongside it. You might get water splashed into your mouth or into your eyes, and if it goes into any cuts, which you might have sores in your hands from all that training you've been doing rowing, then you're at risk of getting disease.
During last year's boat race, members of the losing Oxford crew were hit by sickness. Local lad James Doran was in the team.
I had a few crewmates who came down in the morning of the boat race and, were struggling to eat breakfast and all sorts. It was pretty grim.
Luca is one of the Cambridge presidents. He's also a Londoner. This is his 4th boat race and he too is conscious of the pollution.
Clearly there's been a lot of talk about it recently, but we're pretty good at putting everything else out of our mind when we get out on the water and just focusing on our job, which is getting in the boat and making it go as fast as possible.
We're very rigorous. I wash my hands a lot. I have to wash out my water bottle after every session, make sure I'm cleaning kit, regular showers, etc.
Thames Water appeared to cast doubt on the E. coli claims, suggesting River Action's analysis of water samples contradicted tests done by other groups. Thames said recent testing by a boat club further upstream from here at Fulham showed the water quality to be excellent. And London's new super sewer would cut sewage spills by 95%. The water company also said E. coli can come from other sources, including animals, roads and farmland.
I think there's no doubt, particularly in this part of London, that actually what we're looking at is it is mostly sewage outspills, and that's what we know that the water companies can control and should be controlling, and that's what we want to see the government taking action to clean up.
In years gone by, the winning and losing cocks from each boat had to endure being dunked in the river. It's a tradition which is unlikely to resurface at the end of Sunday's boat race. Simon Harris, ITV News, Putney.
Good evening. On the day the Prime Minister announced he was putting more bobbies on the beat, Londoners have told us they don't feel low-level crime is taken seriously. Sir Keir Starmer says he wants more neighbourhood policing to beat what he calls a culture of crime. In Dulwich, though, Stephanie Morgan's cafe has been broken into 6 times in 6 weeks. Today, she told ITV News that there has been so little action, she stopped calling the police when it happens. Meanwhile, the Met say their neighbourhood policing efforts have effectively reduced robberies and their message is to keep reporting. What to make of it all then? Here's our political correspondent Simon Harris.
Hi, what can I get for you?
Stephanie still managed to smile for her customers, but earlier today she was sat in her car in tears. Her cafe in Dulwich was robbed again last night, the 6th break-in in 6 weeks.
In the last year, it's just been constant break-ins, attempted break-ins to the cabins, but then just more senseless ones with people taking stock and throwing it on the floor and smashing things up, stealing the furniture.
So we have a milk latte.
Stephanie's thought about closing the business, much to the horror of her customers.
I have to say, my husband did catch some kids one day jumping over the fence and pinching tins out of one of the fridges.
I'm aware from the WhatsApp group for my street that I run that there's a lot of this kind of minor crime.
I am sort of more worried because I've got 3 sons that actually all these sort of stabbings and everything that are appearing out of nowhere is terrifying.
Stephanie's CCTV cameras capture the break-ins, but she no longer hands over the footage to the police.
The last 6 months, I'd say, I stopped reporting to the police. It just felt like a waste of police resources.
When burglars are repeatedly hitting the same shop, potentially putting it out of business, that's telling you that they feel they can operate with impunity. That's that's a huge problem, even in places like here in Dulwich. This is not a crime hotspot, and yet we're seeing that problem.
In Orpington, the local police team has focused its efforts on prolific shoplifters with some success. This repeat offender is now banned by the courts from all co-ops in England and Wales. But even stopping shoplifters can be risky, as PC Pete Blunden discovered trying to catch one yesterday.
I kind of got into a roll around with him in like a brambles bush, and he then hit me with a brick on my arm as well.
One petrol station in Orpington has been robbed 10 times in the last fortnight. Do you worry that there is a perception in London that some low-level crime is out of control?
I don't. I think this is what we're doing today. We're showing that actually where we put the time and we put the resources in it, we can get a grip of it and we can win. I think that's the most important thing, is that I don't want that to be the narrative that crime's out of control.
Both the Mayor and the government have promised more neighbourhood police officers in London, but the Met is also facing 1,700 job cuts, and it's not clear when the losses will turn into gains. Simon Harris, ITV News, Orpington.